Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. What I'd like to do today is to take a look at the top independent watchmakers. And these are the guys that do these incredible creations. They're like the Picassos and the Rembrandts of watchmaking. And the only problem is that we can't afford them. They're too expensive. However, I found a number of them that have sort of their main watches, these incredible expensive watches, but then on the side they have other ones that they make for the rest of us. And so let's take a look at them. The first one is by Bernhard Lederer. He won the 2021 Innovation Prize at the GPHG, and this year, 2024, he has this manual winding 3 hertz time-only watch that just just gorgeous, and it's one of the finalists for this year's GPHG. Problem is, 158,000 bucks, which is or 158,000 Swiss francs. Over my budget. Now, the good thing though is that Bernhard Lederer had made a series of other ones that were under this label called BLU, Blue. It stood for, I believe it stands for Bernhard Lederer Universal. And so if you look around, you can find some great watches by Bernhard Lederer. They don't necessarily have the kind of in-house movement, but if the movements that are in there are ones that he's worked with, probably an ETA movement that he has revamped somehow to create watches like this Terzet. And this is an interesting watch. I mean, it's like a regulator that doesn't look like regular regulators. So, and there are a whole series of these that you can find that are affordable, but they're by a top watchmaker. Okay, let's go on and see what else we can find. Antoine Prezuzio. Now, Antoine Prezuzio has won, I don't know how many awards, Grand Prix awards, but in 2019, he was one of the finalists. One of his watches was one of the finalists. More recently, I think this is the one that made the finalists. It was called the TTR3 Blue Equalizer Frequencies. Now, equalizer frequencies has to do with the multiple tourbillons that Prezuzio puts in his watches. He's also a member of the AHCI. This is sort of the elite independent group. So is Bernhard Lederer, I believe, as well. 1,200,000 Swiss francs. Okay, that's sort of out of my budget, but Prezuzio has a great line of other watches that while they have an ETA base, they're ones that he's worked on himself. For example, this Sienna, this is a stainless steel Sienna, brand new, APG 282 is the movement, 6,500 Swiss francs. Now, the only problem here is that you have to first go to the Antoine Prezuzio website, and there are all kinds of other really well-priced watches. The problem is they don't list the prices. In fact, they don't even list a way to order them. And so what you do is you contact Antoine, and you can get any of those watches. And believe me, some of them are more expensive, obviously, but there are a lot of them, like the Sienna and some of the other ones, that are great prices. Now, on the pre-owned market, there are lots of them out there that you can have for very excellent prices, and because there are a lot of different models. One I found was a Sienna model, solid gold, rose gold, at Del Rey Watches. This is owned by Federico. That's his outfit. And so, there are a lot of these around, and so, and again, you're talking by top watchmakers, and you're not paying 1,200,000 Swiss francs. Okie doke, moving right along. Um, Raul Pages is another member of AHCI. Probably of all of the watches I'm looking at today, this guy's my favorite, and in particular, the regulator D10. There are Christian Limes and who else? Urban Jurgensen. They're the only two other watchmakers I know who have attempted to use a detent escapement. They're very complex. They have certain advantages. There's some debate whether they really work that well with wristwatches. But they do deal with the whole issue of constant force, and they are one solution to that. And I just think it's great. It's got a manual wind, 2.5 hertz, 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour with a 47-hour reserve. What a watch. I'd love to have that. 85,000 Swiss francs. Yeah, there you go. That stopped me right in my tracks. However, Pages has done some watches with Messina Labs. Messina Labs is more of a design company. And but in this particular watch, this Absinthe by Messina Labs and Raul Pages, 7,668 Swiss francs. Now, Pages did the movement for this, I believe, and the dial itself is very clean, clear dial, but this is a heck of a watch to have somebody like Pages who did the movement for and worked on it with Messina Labs. Some other co-ops that Messina Labs have done with some of these top guys you might want to take a look for. Okie doke. This next one is by MBNF, Maximilian Bussard. And friends. Okay, if you ever go to his site, you got to take a look at the MBNF site, and you'll see the friends. My God, the friends look like the who's who of watchmaking. An incredible list of people. Anyway, now last year, MBNF's watch won the grand prize of the GPHG. That is the very top prize, the prize of prizes, okay? It's sort of the best in show. Legacy Machines Sequential Evo. 172,000 Swiss francs is way beyond my budget. However, they also did, and Maximilian did another watch called the Mad One Red. Now, this is by the same company. This isn't a co-op with some other company. But he said, look, I realize there's some people who would really like an MBNF watch, but they can't afford it. So I'm going to make sort of a series of watches. Now, these watches don't have your top watchmaker movements in them, but they're designed by Bussard. And they're nice watches, and they're fun watches, and they're interesting watches, and but most of all, they're affordable watches. 3,125 Swiss francs. Did these sell out quick? Yeah, they did. But you can get them, and they're really cool watches. So, again, you don't have to be a millionaire or a billionaire to get some of these watches by these top watchmakers. Okie doke. The final one is by one of the older watchmaker. He's been around for a long time, Vincent Calabrese. In fact, he was one of the co-founders of the AHCI. And so, not only was he very independent guy, believe me, and he did this wonderful watch. I think it was back in the '80s, called the Golden Bridge. He did it with Corum. Now, the price on this is not quite as high as some of the other ones we've looked at. I mean, 58,000 isn't chump change by any stretch of the imagination. But you can find some not quite that expensive. This is what's interesting now. But another thing, if you go to vincentcalabrese.com, you can find a number of his watches that are made for, sort of the rest of us, so to speak. One that's extremely interesting is called the Chronos, 8,800 Swiss francs. A very interesting artist did the dial work on it, and Chronos is, and his, I think, 9 or 12 daughters, and they're always concerned about time because of their looks, and it's, if you know anything about, I don't know whether Greek or Roman mythology, they're part of it, and then you get an interesting watch at the same time. And there are a lot of different ones. Many of them are much less than 8,000 Swiss francs. I think they start around 3 or 4,000. But again, you're talking about one of your top watchmakers ever. So anyway, well, listen, that's all I have for today, but I would really like to hear from you. If you know some others where you can get a top, either one by a top watchmaker or a top watchmaker who has some series. I know Messina has done other ones, collaborations. And so, let me know. Also, I'd like your opinion of, what do you think of this? Do you really get a good watch if you don't pay these sky-high prices? I think you do. This is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Outside, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.